All right. Welcome to another episode of 21st Century Rocker Mom Podcast, episode 24, week 24. I'm so happy to be back with you, and I'm so happy to have my one of my favorite special guests back with you all too. I have Sir Robert of McCallum in the house. He's the only one I have in the house because everyone else I have to have via Zoom.
It's nice to be here live and in the flesh.
Oh, isn't it?
What are you going to do to my flesh? Is it going to be one of those episodes, given the subject matter?
Well, I don't know. We could do it in a cheer, or we could do it in a song. Do 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 do. Sometimes you have a word starts with a C, and then there's a U. Sometimes there's a T, and then there's an S. What do you got?
Cuts?
Well, almost. Add a letter. This whole letter could be anything, but I mean, C U. Kurtz? No. How about cults? I wanted to, if everyone thought I was going to be see you next Tuesday, it is not going to be that atrocious word, but however, it's going to be cults. We are going to delve deep, hopefully not too deep because it's pretty scary, into the world of cults on episode 24 of 21st Century Rocker Mom Podcast this evening. And I thought, who better to have with me than my comfort person and my partner, because when we dive deep, I mean, we're going to dive real deep. We're going to talk about cults tonight, but we're going to talk about the time that I may have accidentally stepped into the prickly patch and ended up myself in a cult.
I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by everything you've said. The concept of cults, I've learned so much since our coming together, as you may call it, our courtship, and the little personal tale that you've got to tell about it. Those experiences. I want to know more about those experiences. It's always an interesting thing when you bring it up. But now you've exposed me to a whole new world of cults too.
And now you're like one of those people that's like, you know, like the true crime, like, oh, I want to watch this true crime documentary. It's like we get to be, you know, grown-ups. We're like, what do you want to do to unwind on a Saturday night? You know, everybody wants to watch a true crime documentary where, you know, someone's getting their legs chopped off, or like something by the mafia, or they want to watch something on cults, these esoteric things that seem, I think, more kind of taboo than they really are.
The cult stuff that I've learned since we've been together still feels fake.
Really?
It's so hard to believe.
Really, I think it's unless you've been there, and I think you've even experienced it. It is hard to believe.
It's so out there.
I will tell you, it was fucking hard to believe for me completely until it fucking happens to you. You get like the true knowledge through experience. That's what true knowledge is. Gaining knowledge through experience. You get the true knowledge of what's going on. And I will truly say that I did not have maybe the mental digestion that I have of cults that I do now, and the complete and utter understanding. And just like I went to like the school of hard knocks of cults or something.
Is it wrong that every time we watch a new doc series or one-off that delves into a cult, whether it's the People's Temple or what you pick the cult of the week that you want to look at,
anyone,
I'm hooked.
Yep.
I'm like, I get this. Sign me up. I want to be a part of this. And then it's like, no. This is where I kind of there's a line in the sand that as you learn more and more about what's happening, that you're like, it's a little too far for me.
Yeah.
I will say that when those lines are drawn, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could. Maybe. And then it's like hard no. And then it like descends into something.
Like, what?
Something crazy.
Like
it's at some point. We were talking about the format or the narrative trajectory that every cult takes.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about how it always starts off as...
The cult experience always starts off as a really like pleasurable thing. It starts off as something like very seemingly innocent. You're stuck at a crossroads likely in your life. So you are, you know, coming out of a bad marriage, a bad relationship. You're breaking up with something. You lost a job. You lost this. You lost your house. You lost everything. You are searching for something. Like that's usually how it starts, but it starts very innocently with like just joining like a club or a group or a community or a meditation group or a dream workshop or there's a poster up at the library for this or that. And then so you go to whatever the thing is, and then all of a sudden you have this connection because there's this main person. It can be whoever. It doesn't matter what gender they are. There's just always a main person.
A leader, a figurehead.
Yeah, leader, figurehead, whatever you want to call this person. But they're like the main focus, and they seem to have a weird like control over the room, but also this notion that you get there, that you are like, they make you feel like you're the only person in the whole fucking room. Like they're speaking like exactly like right to you because what they're saying probably pertains to your situation. You and
you're hopeful too because you're looking for an answer.
Exactly. And this person is talking to you like the only person in the world, like you're the only person in the world, they're the only person in the world. They've got like this charisma. Meanwhile, like they're pseudosciencing you out the ass. Like they're just like psychologically programming you. But you don't realize this at the time. There are very specific things that they do. Like, for instance, you'll go to one of these meetings and you'll make a connection with one of these people because, of course, you'll I made a friend, and this person really, really gets what I'm going through.
Yeah, I'm lost. They're lost. We're lost together now.
And then they'll say something like weird to you because they'll cold read you. It's something that I like to say that people in cults do is they'll see something on your like person, something on your t-shirt that you're wearing, like a sign or a symbol or a ring you're wearing or a piece of jewelry, and they'll equate that. Oh, like that was from your grandmother, wasn't it? Or something like.
This is why we should cross our arms when people look at us. We don't know.
No shit. Just close off that body language. Close it the fuck down. But that is part of something called neuro-linguistic programming in cults. It's called NLP. So that is basically being probed without informed consent. So basically, kind of, they dance around how they ask you questions, and
they're trying to extract information at every turn to see if you're the right person.
Exactly.
And, I started watching The Vow, the HBO series on Nexium. I've roped you into it. I've had to use cultic-like techniques to get you to watch it.
I love The Vow.
And now you're in it.
I'm into it. I just feel like they could tell the story faster.
Yes, for sure.
Because I feel like it's like... I feel like it's a slow burn for what I already know.
There's 9 episodes, and I feel like it could be 6.
Oh yeah, I feel like it could be 5, maybe.
Well, season 2 is coming, baby.
Season 2, more sex, more.
Well, they have an interview with Keith Ranieri lined up for season 2. That's like the big reveal.
What in the actual?
Yeah.
Keith Ranieri?
Yeah. So the head of Nexium.
He is the head of the brand,
program,
like
executive success program.
The executive success.
I love terms like this, and they're programs. It's part of an organization.
It's always a program. Oh yeah, it's always a program. Or
because you don't sign up. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I have a cult. Do you want to join my cult? No, you find out that it's a cult later.
But like a lot of people
bad
don't
marketing.
Call it that. Like a cult, like definition wise. What is the definition of a cult? You give it to me because
I looked it up.
You looked it up, okay? Because like, what is it? I don't have a dictionary sitting in front of me.
In modern English, a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs, or by its common interest in a particular personality, object, or goal. This sense of the term is controversial, having divergent definitions both in pop culture and academia. It also has been the ongoing source of contention among scholars across several fields of studies. The word cult is usually considered pejorative. It has derogatory connotations on par with racial slurs, as it subhumanizes people for their practices or beliefs.
Yeah, because I mean, it can, like the word cult can be used in a very negative connotation to make fun of or look down upon things that people believe in or what they do, and it's not to make fun of cults. And I mean, unfortunately, that is one of the ways the word is used. The way that I use it is like, it's a thing, it's a noun, it's a thing, and it is it is a hyper literal interpretation of religion, no matter like what it is. It's a hyper literal interpretation of whatever belief system it is. It's not just religion. Like, sure, religion is a cult. You were raised Catholic. Like, you went to Catholic school.
Roman
Catholic. So like
hardcore stuff.
The fucking real shit. Like mass in school.
Not quite mass in Latin, but mass regimented, very specific actions, duties, costumes, robes,
Yeah.
Dress up. Here's how we do it. Here's in all times.
Altar stuff.
Very, very specific, like ritualistic, I would say.
Ritualistic. Yeah, exactly. Like you're seeing this now though, but like when you're a kid, like going to Catholic school, I did not go to Catholic school, obviously. But like as a kid, you probably didn't see it as weird. You just like saw it as something like you did.
No, it was weird.
Was it?
It was weird because I didn't grow up church going, and
your household wasn't like that.
No, not at all.
No.
My nonna was raised Catholic. My grandpa, who I called Dad, was raised Anglican, but not practicing.
Okay, sure.
And at one point, I was told that they needed to take me to church on Sunday so that I'd be better behaved for when I went to like school mass, like mass as a school, like in classes.
Like a practice.
Yeah, and it was strange. It was so weird, and it was so weird that, and I like I'm having the flashback right now. It's so weird looking around and seeing all my friends who I knew, like as pals, knowing how to behave in this situation in something that was so foreign. It's like they fell right into this slot. They knew when to stand, when to kneel, when to sit,
told. You're being told,
when to read the book, pass the plate, eat the cracker.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange.
Drink the fucking Kool-Aid, whatever.
And I got out of it at an early age. I don't remember what the trigger was, but to do the thing that, like, I'm supposed to love God was the thing. And in order to love God, I had to do this ritual of going to church and saying these words and stuff. But the more I did the thing, the less I loved God.
Sure, because you're like, I don't want to do this on a Sunday. I don't want to go to church.
And I figured that out by easily by age 7.
Okay.
That I didn't want to be a part of the system.
Okay.
And so now learning about cults and watching all these things with you, it's like, whoa. But I get both sides of the coin. I get why people are drawn to it because they want the companionship. They want the community. They want to feel a part of something that is greater than any one person.
Well, and also, like, who doesn't want to belong at all? Everybody wants to belong.
Look around our neighborhood, people want to belong.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Everybody's out having a fucking breeze burger, fucking breathing in each other's fucking mouths. I've had half a shot of Pfizer, and I'm just going to come on over to your house, and oh, motherfucker.
I whiffed an AstraZeneca, and here I am.
Oh, my God. It's just like, everybody's like getting ready to single and mingle, but whatever. There's a cult of, it's community. People want to belong. They don't, they want to hate on things like, fuck that, I'm not doing that unless I'm invited.
Yeah.
And then I will do that.
And that's such a weird thing with cults because on one hand, it's like a cult is an outlier. It's something outside the normal practice. It's not like traditionally accepted by society. It's
absolutely
not. Here's a group that's just over there doing their thing and we'll look down our noses at them.
But we're going to let them be. They're not going to do anything about it, but they're going to let it be.
But when you're invited in, now you feel like you belong and it's okay to be a part of something because it's something special that you're good enough to be a part of.
It's very elitist. That's the other thing about cults. They pump up that sense of self with you, so you feel very elitist. You feel like you're like the only person in the world too. Like it's horrible for something that's trying to like eliminate your ego and try to make you less of like a human person and more of like a conscious being person. A lot of cults that try to enlighten you.
Though. But that's the programming.
It is the programming.
That's erase your individuality so that you just become an automaton, right?
Well, and that's another like trick that cults use too. They erase your personality by being like, no more teachers, no more books, no more pencils, dirty looks. Like they don't want outside films.
Yeah, TV.
But this is all of them, not just the one that I experienced. No movie theaters, no alcohol, no drugs. No sex.
Say no gratification.
No gratification. No give up some of your personal belongings. Yeah, give up your personal belongings. They want you like different sacrifices and sacrifices in different ways. Like if the people that I was involved with needed like a deck built, for instance, all the men from the sect or the group would just get together and fucking build a deck, and they do it in an afternoon, and they like do it together. It was something they just all did together. They wouldn't call like an outside.
It's like Boy Scouts on Apple Day.
But they not quite. They wouldn't call like an extra buddy who was like not in said group to like hang out. And it would just be like the dudes. It wouldn't be like the women, because it wouldn't be like a woman like thing. Because later on that I realized that women had a different purpose than men in this group. And it was just not about meditation, but it was also not about like medication or anything else. Like
but
they
that's
tried
like
to do
the
that
big term,
weird.
right? Like,
but what?
It's like there's this excessive devotion, and that's the thing that kept coming up as I was researching cults, and I'm trying to understand. It's this ritualistic idea, and you don't go at a casual speed. It's like
0 to 100.
Yeah, warp 10. Here we go. We're in it, and we're in it full. We're living and breathing. The only people around us are people that are part of this.
Yep, that's your circle, because your social isolations, it drives people like away. You're socially isolated from your family. You're socially isolated from your friends that are not involved within the organization or whatever it is. It's always a power thing. Like you had like Jim Jones with like the Jonestown stuff, right? Like he started out, I mean, in America with the Temple of God, but that was not big enough for a narcissist like Jim Jones. That was the first real notion of like cults, because he had like the whole sideshow fucking thing going on. He was a performer. Jim Jones, more than anything, was just like huge. He was larger than life, charismatic personalities that's going to make you feel like you're the only person in the room. The hand stuff, like the body language, like you think that stuff wasn't rehearsed? That guy watched Father Divine, and he studied his movements to see how Father Divine was a legit preacher who actually fought against he fought for human rights,
civil rights, inequality,
and for black people. And they were like, he had interracial churches, and he was a black man, he was a black preacher, and he was actually amazing. But unfortunately, Jim Jones used Father Divine's techniques and kind of bastardized them for mind control, and then moved his people of temple and the people of the temple and the people's temple ended up going to what he called Jonestown, which was in Guyana.
Yeah, from California to Guyana, yeah.
So they moved all that way, all those people, 1,000 people at least, to live in Jonestown. Like, I mean, he really brainwashed those people and inevitably convinced them to die with him, because he's the narcissist. Like, you can't live without me, so you can't fucking die without me, so let's all overdose on poison.
So we're all ready to go to the next astral plane.
Let's go to the next plane. Let's ascend.
Let's go
together. Level 2, because there's always a second,
it's
or
tiers, right?
Well, that's the thing. There's always I only got to the second part because I was afraid. There's a third way. There's a third.
There's always one more.
Once you peel back the onion layers, it doesn't really stop, which is really scary with cults, because that's when we saw like the stuff about Nexium.
Yeah, the sashes.
Holy shit.
And when you first start getting your sash, it's a white sash because it means you're a student, you're a learner, and then you get like a stripe on it, and then a different kind of stripe, and then the stripe colors changes.
The chain.
And then you get like dots and everything, and it's like it's really just an insignificant object, but it reflects
symbolism,
a class system.
Absolutely.
It's like epaulets on like a military uniform, or medals of some sort that says this is what I've done to get here.
Badges on your Girl Guide uniform, or your Boy Scout on your Beaver Scout stuff.
It's a symbol of progress, but it's also status, and it's just
it's classist. It's classist, I would say.
I can't. But here's the thing: Jim Jones, Jonestown, People's Temple. That's wild. Like, you don't have to like. I mean, our kids will know about that other than because of us. Oh, yeah. They'll learn about that phrase, drink the Kool-Aid.
And not know what it means.
And not be able to connect the dots, because that's how big of a deal that was.
Like, for us, even, like, being our age.
Like 1,000 people.
And I remember seeing the footage and being like, holy shit. Like, this is fucking something else. And, like, everybody's just lying there, mass, dead.
How old were you when you first heard that phrase, and when did you realize what it meant?
Oh, I was like probably too young, because I hung out with the adults like a lot, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to hang out with the kids. I was always like an old child.
Yeah, not me.
Not you?
I was probably like 16.
Oh, fuck.
I'd probably heard like drink the Kool-Aid, and I thought, oh, who doesn't like Kool-Aid?
Oh my God. People that don't want to drink potassium cyanide.
Yeah, phenobarbital
and phenobarbital, and like phenobarbital, like if it's injected in large amounts, is like a huge. They give people phenobarbital when they're like freaking out, and they're like really can't get a handle on them at the hospital. They used to do it at quote unquote mental hospitals a long time ago.
I don't even know what it does. Does it just slow everything down in your body?
Yeah, it's a tranquilizer.
Yeah, okay.
Tranquilizer dart, phenobarbital, tranquilizer dart. But I mean, those places, they strive on loneliness. They strive on like anything they can. They think that horrible people, like this is the thing behind cults that people don't understand. They think that you must be a horrible, shitty, fucking hell of a person to get involved with a cult. But those are not the kind of people that cults want.
No.
Cults want the vulnerable people that are kind, that want to help the earth, that are hopeful, that think the world will get better if they just chip in and help their neighbor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just help. And they want the workers, the people that are going to, or recruiters, the people that are going to go out and help, do the things that they can to benefit the organization.
I found an interesting quote from Lucy Patrick in 1990. And it talks about how cults happen.
How does it happen?
Well, Lucy says, although we live in a democracy, cult behavior manifests itself in our unwillingness to question the judgment of our leaders. Mm-hmm. Our tendency to devalue outsiders and to avoid dissent. We can overcome cult behavior, he says, by recognizing that we have dependency needs that are inappropriate for mature people, by increasing anti-authoritarian education, and by encouraging personal autonomy and the free exchange of ideas.
Exactly.
So basically, when we don't have, it manifests itself in our unwillingness to question the judgment of our leaders. So when we don't question it, we go do our own thing.
We just do our own thing.
But if we just had a free exchange of thoughts and ideas and beliefs, there would be no need to go do our own thing and create our own utopia with our own system, with our own
rules and our own
rituals.
Government. So this is like where the line crosses, where idealism turns into totalitarianism. Like
masquerade,
absolutely. Like where does that go? It's like we had this idealism, we had this great idea for this utopia. I mean, in the United States right now, if you have more than 150 citizens, you can start your own city. You can have your own policing. You can have your own rules. You can have your own everything. That's what happened. If you watch that documentary on Netflix right now, I recommend it. Wild Wild Country, about the Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. He had
sign me up for that. Again, it looks great.
Looks like a beautiful utopia. 63,000 acres. Beautiful.
Smart agriculture, self-sustaining community, ahead of its time for like resources.
But
all the clothes.
Meanwhile, daily, all the followers line up to watch a 52-year-old bearded man drive down the street in a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, like a pink or purple Cadillac.
No, they're Rolls Royces. He had a collection of Rolls Royces.
They had their own airport.
Yes, because he was collecting so much money from the followers. I mean, they gave up all their worldly possessions and they were working for free day and night. They were working 16-hour days because they're so involved in the cause. And that is what happens with cults. They get you so involved in the cause and they want worker bees, right? It's like a hive. And if you don't have every part of the hive doesn't function. You don't get that sweet honey, baby.
It's that sense of progress too, going back to the sashes in Nexium. It's like, okay, just join for another module. And then, okay, well, now you got to, if you're so close to the next
level
thing.
Up, come on.
You got to go to the next thing. And then now you can lead. And then everybody underneath you get to help. And then that helps you get to the next level because you got to go over here now.
Because these people are obsessed with pyramid schemes. And even Jeff Ranieri, right? What do you call him?
Keith Ranieri.
Why do I call him Jeff Ranieri? Because I get him, you know why I get him?
He looks like a Jeff.
No, because I get him confused with Warren Jeffs from the FLDS. But Keith Ranieri, he was obsessed. If you look back in his like psychology as a young man, he never had monogamous relationships. And when you look back at his business, he has scored off the charts as far as IQ goes. He's a very intelligent man. He is like a kung fu. He is truly, I looked into it. He's a kung fu, master prodigy kid. So there's no doubt that he is a smart guy. But he's never had monogamous relationships. And he's always had this like pyramid scheme thing. Like he worked for Amway and those things where you can kind of work your way up.
And he got caught on one of them.
Yes, he did.
And it got completely shut down. I think it was like like a citizen's join us to get like a discount rate on something. And then it's like a consumer helpline, and basically you get our discount when you join in and become a member. So it's like $200 a month, but then you get discounts for everything because we have the buying power of everybody
to do this. Exactly.
And except for it wasn't really there.
It was a scam.
It was a complete scam, and they were hiding it between billing cycles and everything like that. So that got shut down. And then he learned his lesson because he was at the forefront of that one, and he was on paper on that one.
Like that one, I mean, you got busted with.
Yeah, so then when he started NXIVM.
NXIVM was crazy. It was like a 4-day dream with a like a psychologist, was she?
Yeah, Nancy Schultzman,
yes.
who
what did she call herself? They gave him
Prefect.
Prefect, and his name was
Vanguard. Yeah, Vanguard, which is like named after a video game, and Prefect is like an anagram for perfect.
That's so strange.
But it's all supposed to be like, like headmaster, like a schoolmaster, like, head of the school.
Yes.
And so she was the one that kind of
here are the rules.
The teachers. But he calls like his approach the technology, and he actually has a patent on it, the learning system, and he has classified it as a technology, so it's patentable, and that way you can't steal the technology and use it somewhere else.
If you could see my fucking face right now, that's some L. Ron Hubbard shit.
It's wild. Yes, it is a slow burn when you watch The Vow, but there are just enough chunks in there.
Yeah.
And to see the people that are involved, like Mark Vicente, who is the filmmaker from What the Bleep Do We Know?
What the Bleep Do, yeah.
A huge documentary that made like $15 million in a year. And he's also...
Wonderful documentary.
At the age of 26, he was a DP and shooting movies for Disney. He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, the gentleman has dipped his foot in the water a few
Aunt
times.
Beru from Star Wars Episode 2 is his wife, and she was part of it.
Oh, shut the front door.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and he's originally from South Africa.
I mean, like
too,
Alison Mack, she's one of the big names in NXIVM, because NXIVM wasn't just NXIVM. NXIVM decided...
NXIVM is the apparent umbrella for everything.
And there is an umbrella for every fucking call. I will tell you that.
And underneath that, the main crux, the thrust program was ESP, Executive Success Programs.
Exactly.
Now, it's funny because Nancy Schultzman in her video is like, it's called Executive Success Programs, not because it's for executives, although if you are an executive, it'll be very beneficial to you. Because we want to take the upper echelon, the people that really want to get the most of it, and take an executive approach to life.
Hey, must be the money. So, maybe.
And so ESP, that whole like tiered system and approach, and bringing people in and recruiting and how that works, and that's the start. But then all these other companies and organization and groups started to come underneath. There's one for just dudes. There was one for just women. There's one for fashion type stuff. There's one for like healthy living type scenarios. And then of course
this DOS
comes along. That's like the tipping point beyond the tipping point. It's like the true dark side of the force, because
that stands for dominant over submissive.
Yeah.
Basically, because it actually comes from Latin. And it's basically it's a master-slave order.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really screwed up with NXIVM, because they literally had slaves checking in with their masters via text at the beginning of every day and before they go to night. Is it okay if I go to sleep, master? Yes, you can go to sleep.
And only to be with that one person.
Yeah.
Or they would do fucked up shit like tell them to text their boyfriends that they're, having sex with the master of this thing to prove that they were with this guy, this Keith guy.
Yeah, they were creating like a real dependent relationship that was like, well, if you really want to do it, you've already come this far, are you really going to give it up? Like, we only want the people that are truly, want it.
We want the top of the crop. We want the cream of the cream. We want the cream of the crop.
If you don't want it, that's okay.
That's fine.
That's up to you.
Walk away right now.
Please do. We don't want you if you're hesitant.
We don't. You know what? And you know what? If you have any questions and if you start questioning anything, here's what they're going to do. Now, he got hooked up with those sisters, Sarah and Claire Bronfman, from the Seagram's fortune. Those girls were kind of, mixed up with the Dalai Lama. Their family had known the Dalai Lama really well, and they were really into Tibetan Buddhism. And somehow he got mixed up so much with Sarah Bronfman, and she started following him and started believing in what he believed in and what NXIVM believed in so much, so far as he hounded that family and hounded them and hounded them and hounded them until finally, for $1 million, the Dalai Lama appeared on stage with him together, so all his followers could see that, you know, this wasn't bullshit. Look through this. Believe me, the Dalai
legitimizing what's going on.
Exactly. This is serious. The Dalai Lama believes in this. Like, come on, this is the real stuff here. But like, what people don't realize but the Dalai Lama does realize, this is a purely transactional ties. It's business, man. $1 million to sit on stage and be quiet. Okay, I'm the Dalai Lama. I need money to help people because the Dalai Lama actually does help people. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I mean DOS in particular, like we said at the beginning, there's these little points disturbing when you understand like the narrative of how a cult works. There's this utopia, then there's
that you're promised,
and
it is for a little bit.
And then you have to work at it, and then the conditions change a little bit, and then it gets harder, and then the carrot keeps getting pushed further and further away.
You have to recruit people into it.
Yeah.
You can't be around your family anymore. Like,
and then there's the line, like I said, there's that line that you cross where, like, okay, in order to really be a part of this, you have to do something.
It's usually the initiation period
that you're morally and ethically completely opposed to, that on any given Sunday you'd say no way.
Hell to the no.
But because you've spent so much time being conditioned and allowing yourself to undergo this, like, those barriers have been broken down.
Oh yeah, you're done because you're an open target. You're fucking ready to be fired upon, like full firing squad. You're done.
And with DOS and NXIVM,
those women had no chance.
They got branded.
Branded, you know what that means? Literally, physically fucking scarred for life. They're never getting that off.
Yeah, in their pelvic area.
Ever. Yeah, in their pelvic area, exactly. Like, so basically, if they're gonna go have sexual relations with any other person in their entire life, I'm sure someone's gonna look at that and say, "What happened
what is that?
there? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, are you safe? Like, what?"
Yeah, it's
this fucking asshole's initials.
No, it's not. It's water and a mountain, and you got to look at it this way. And, okay, maybe it is that way. Maybe it is his initials.
Maybe it is. Yeah. Maybe it's a K and an R. Because I've seen it flipped upside down. It's screwed up, and so many of these girls now are so trauma affected by this. Like, I've seen like the lost women of like NXIVM and things like these smaller documentaries done by like smaller companies with a way smaller budget, or I've listened to podcasts about it. Because, you know, I mean, not everything for me is like, I don't need it to be fed through the fucking Hollywood machine. I don't give a shit, you know. That's not me, and that's not you either. It's like, I will see just about anything because I want to research and see anything and read anything that I can. I mean, Wild Wild Country was something that was like super special to me. Like, I love.
That's crazy.
That is one documentary. If you can watch that about Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh and all the follow-up that happened like that, and the rabbit hole that it eventually goes down. Eventually, a lot of these cults get caught up with sex.
Yeah. Or the lack. I don't know if it's just because it's such a primal urge that.
It is, because it's a what a lot of cults would call like an ego. It's just like it's an animal thing. So when people are trying to program you, a lot of these cults will tell you that you're actually not human. You're still an animal, and you haven't really evolved to be like an evolved, conscious, mindful human yet. And they'll say, you know, you're a dumb animal. You don't follow those instincts. Those are mechanical instincts, or those are just animal instincts that you are following because of a program. You can turn that off.
Cults are scary, man. Especially if you know it's a cult on the outside and you have to get close to it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think of like Eyes Wide Shut type stuff, right? Or Rosemary's Baby.
Dude, okay, so let me just tell you.
Okay. Are we going to switch gears now and talk about you?
I don't know. Should we talk about this situation? I think everybody's got like a good, like, clear form of cults. I mean, they got David Koresh with Waco, Texas. I don't know how much you know about that, but, you know, We Ain't Coming Out, that David Koresh.
Yeah, we started watching that So that narrative version of it, where they basically tried to,
And I mean, then there's the children of God that grew up with like kind of, that was a sex cult too, and they involved like I hate to say it, this is a trigger warning for a lot of people, but like a lot of like child sexual abuse happened in that cult. That happened in the 70s. There was Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was huge, and I mean, a lot of people committed suicide thinking they were gonna like ascend to space. Heaven's Gate was a crazy one. You know, there were the Moonies. That was more popular in Korea, and in that culture, like people went crazy for the Moonies. They were like, you know, the sun and moon, you know, the king and queen come to life, reincarnated on Earth. And there are a million people you can see on YouTube. You know, you have a million little gurus that you can follow. Yeah. There are people that say that they have the perfect recipe for a cult. There's the Maharishi, Mahesh Yogi. The Beatles got sucked into that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, like Mia Farrow was there, and the Farrows were there. Donovan was there. The Beach Boys, some of the members of the Beach Boys were there, and they got all like kind of just held in by the guise of
a lot of sitar after that.
There's a lot of sitar after that, but that was more George Harrison and hanging out with Ravi Shankar. But that's another podcast altogether about sitars. But no, but where I was going with that is like the Beatles got roped in with this transcendental meditation. They were on drugs, like they're taking acid all the time and smoking a lot of weed and stuff. And they thought we're going to go to India and trip balls for a few weeks, write some songs, and have a good time. Not like. They were told that this person took a vow of celibacy, which is generally what like the leader does. They take a vow of celibacy and they don't have sex with women. Meanwhile, the Maharishi, this giggly little fucking dude with the beard who looks like a little treasure troll, he's just fucking all the bitches. He's just putting the nuts to all of them. Like, what in the actual fuck? So everyone's like, the Beatles were like, we're going home. And besides, Ringo didn't like the food. Saw right through the Maharishi. As well as the Bhagwan, right? Like, the guy's got a ton of money. Jim Jones, same thing. Private planes, all these things. How?
So basically, for you, you didn't realize it was a cult that you were flirting with until you saw a private airport?
Fuck no, that's not what happened at all.
Okay, what happened? What do you mean you experienced a cult?
How does one person get
Was it a
involved
cult?
In a cult?
Like, are you definitively saying?
100% it's a cult. 100% because, like, you get called out on it, like, when you leave and stuff. And, like, when you leave, it's a hard process because do you leave the cult? Does the cult leave you? What happens, right? So it was, like, summertime, and I was, like, meditating a lot, but I was going through, like, a bad patch in my life and, like, bad relationship, whatever. And I'm like, oh, like, there was, like, a thing at the library. It's like, want to know what your dreams mean? And I was like, yeah, cool. So I went with one of my girlfriends, and we went to this workshop.
What, like, you went to like a mall or like a library?
The London Public Library. Like, we went to the fucking library.
Okay.
And there was like they have rooms that you can rent there.
Oh boy.
And they had like a PowerPoint presentation. It was like telling you how your dreams are like magical and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, my dreams are magical. And I was like in my 20s, so of course I went like after I smoked a big fat bowl. And I'm like, this is great. And then I met this person there, and they were so charismatic, and they were just but in a quiet way. They didn't lead the presentation. They weren't the person who was giving the presentation, but they're so charismatic in a quiet way. They made me feel like they understood me when I talked to them. I was just like blown away. So then we started going weekly to these classes at their house, which was like the temple or whatever.
But it's just a house.
But just a regular house in the middle of,
and they're
the
like,
city.
Okay, did that not like, did the light switch not go off there when they're like, come to our temple, and you're like, 532 Riverside Drive, and it's just like a two-story house.
No, honestly, it never did. Like, there was just like chairs in the basement. There was like PowerPoint presentations about like dreams and like things that I like esoteric stuff, like biodynamic farming.
Did you think it's weird that all this was in a house?
No, I didn't, because I knew a lot of people that ran churches out of their house. I knew people that were Jewish Buddhists and ran a church out of their house since they were teenagers, like their parents did. So this was not weird to me at all, because I was like, this isn't church. I don't believe in God. What is it? But these people believed in these two people that they had pictures of on the wall. There was like a master so-and-so and the wife too. So they were like the divine people to look up to in this sect, right? So it still didn't click onto me then. I prayed to the pictures, but you really pray to yourself, because when you're praying to God or your God-like figure, you're like really praying inside yourself. So I was really trying to go inside myself and like kind of find myself on this, spiritual journey there. And the teachers were great, and there was these fun, yoga retreats we'd go to, and everyone would have a potluck, and we'd cook dinner, and we'd do runes and yoga out in the sun and fucking shit. It was
so you would go on a yoga retreat. So they would take you out of the city and your day-to-day routine, and you'd go somewhere secluded and isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it was like a yoga retreat, and
Yeah, sure. Stay away from everything you know and everyone you know, and just come and be with us and continue to absorb our way of thinking.
But you're not allowed to go unless you're in the group.
Well, of course.
Well, fuck no. You're not allowed in if you're not a member.
Well, it sounds like fun and games so far. It just sounds like a lot of exercising alone in the woods.
But it was like great. It was like, there was hikes in the woods, and we were around nature, and you could see a Jack in the Pulpit, and we're doing all of our... There were certain rituals that you had to do and certain things.
Like what?
I can't say what they are.
Why? You're not part of it.
Yeah, but I don't want to expose these people for what they're doing. Like, it's
okay, but what did you have to do? Give us an example. I don't understand.
Well, some of them, like, there are different... directions, and you have to do different like symbols in the air with your finger and stuff to like seal something, to like seal a prayer, for instance.
And what did you think when you were shown this? Here's how you do your spell, Harry Potter. Expelliarmus.
Honestly, at the time, I didn't think anything of it at all. I was like, okay. So I watched The Craft a lot as a teenager. I was
Manon. Here's
Manon.
our corners.
Here's one to Manon. Here's one for my homies, motherfuckers. Like, I honestly didn't think fucking a thing about it. And I honestly, I was in my 20s, man. Like,
were you in a transitionary period? Because you said that's the kind of people that
oh, fuck. I was in such a transitionary period. I was in a bad relationship. Like, I was, like, just not in a good place mentally. Like, it was just not
right. So anything other than what you had was going to be better in your life.
Oh, yeah. Like, everything.
You were a perfect candidate.
And I wanted to just help everybody. And I was, like, doing, like, bake sales and do-do-do. And, like, helping people and baking bread and bringing it to their houses. Like, just being nice. They want nice people,
So this is the utopia part. So, yes,
and I'm bringing these people, like, fresh vegetables
community,
over. Yeah.
happiness, like-minded individuals.
And it wasn't church on Sunday. It was, like, Tuesday nights. We go for this thing. We smoke a joint in the car. And we fucking go. They didn't like drugs, though. They don't want, like, it's the more you get into the program, they realize they kind of frown on you when you show up smelling like Cheech and Chong. Like,
right.
And I show up with a girlfriend, but I get deeper into my meditations when I'd be all Stony Maloney. So this is what I used to do in my 20s. But then, things started getting different. The lessons started getting different.
How so?
They started delving into worlds that I was like, huh? Like, they started...
What do you mean worlds?
Talking about different planes of existence, which I do think about, right? Astral planes,
sure.
And physical plane, and
Nirvana.
Exactly, those sorts of things. But then they started talking about ancient civilizations, lost cities, Machu Picchu, Atlantis. Absolutely.
Whoa.
They started talking about Atlantis, and I was fascinated, right? I was like, I just love this.
Let's play D&D, man. This is great.
It is. It was like D&D in real life, IRL. It was amazing, right?
The thing I was a part of is D&D IRL with yoga.
Fucking look that shit up on YouTube right now. It's the best fucking cult ever.
I could deal with what's going on so far.
Somebody's bringing these people fresh vegetables from my garden every fucking, Tuesday night or whatever it is. They're giving me, seeds from their garden. I'm getting incense. It is not a bad deal. What the fuck? And then all of a sudden, we have this one lesson with this one teacher the one night. And he was like, and he tried to say it, in so many ways possible. He tried to, allude to it. It's and you don't want to spill the hermetic cup. You don't want to spill the cup of Hermes when the sexual transmutation between the man and the woman are taking place. The man and the woman, I'm like, so there's no homosexuality in this religion or whatever it is you want to call it? And I had questions, of course. Oh fuck, they had an answer for everything. No, it has to be a transmutation between a man and a woman. And guess what? Spilling the hermetic cup, you know what that means? Bow chicka bow wow, arriving at your destination. When they said no blowing your load, I was like, Seacrest out. Fuck this shit. Fuck. Not like I was having any anyway. I had a fucking horrible relationship.
That was the tipping point for you.
But I was like,
That's
does
when it
this
was
mean
like,
I'm going to have to break up with my vibrator? What the fuck?
And so that was like, it's feasible.
Feasible. I'm like, because it
but
was.
That was the part where you felt against what your like your natural instincts were.
Yeah. To have sex, and like even though I wasn't having sex in the relationship I was in at all, but like it's my natural urge as a human for pleasure. Like when I have sex, I'm sorry, I want to have a good time. I don't want to sit there and.
I know.
Whatever. I know you know.
Now you're blushing.
Oh my God, stop. I'm so glad this isn't a video one. You're so embarrassing when you embarrass my little cheeks like this. But it was such a fucked up like time. So like immediately like, you know, there's a connection with these people. You want to be friendly with these people. You're sitting around, you know, these people become like your like inner weird little family. And then
it's got to go somewhere crazier if it follows all cults.
So all of a sudden they're
narratives.
Like, the group gets smaller. People start leaving the group because as the practices go on, they get stranger and stranger. And so there's like only like 5 or 6 of us left in the group, and they're like, I think you guys are ready like for the next level. So the next level was strange. So first we had to go get fitted at this lady's house for these choir outfits, which she told us we were wearing. We had to buy this material. And there were these suits that we had to wear. And it was real. I'm like, what do we need these for? And then we needed these like sandals. I'm like, what the fuck do we need this shit for?
You had to lie about it.
Yeah, we did. We had to tell this lady. She didn't even speak English. I felt so bad for her. She was a Spanish lady. And we couldn't. I said, oh, for choir. Oh, I see. She was the nicest lady I've ever met in my life. These uniforms were expensive, so I paid for it. Whatever. So we're going to go for the big night for this initiation fucking thing. And I remember going out there with members that were my like friends at the time, mostly male, like maybe like 2 female. Right. And it was guys that got their wives into it.
Okay.
And I'm like, fuck, man, like you're not gonna like make me drink the Kool-Aid or any fucked up shit, are you? And they're like, oh no, Tanya, don't worry about it. There's no Kool-Aid. So they drive me in the middle of this like beautiful place where I've been many times, right?
Yeah.
Trust these people. I trust this house. Go in.
Temple.
Yeah, all my friends are there. Oh, downstairs looks different all of a sudden. What the fuck? And then they put me and the friend at the time that I was like chumming with in these cloaks. And the sandals go on. We got bare feet. They blindfold our motherfucking asses and send us into a fucking room. Like, and then someone, I don't know who the fuck it was, takes off the blindfold. And you're in this like all black room where everything is black. And all there is a fucking candle. And there's a book. And there's like a bird. And there's some other objects. And you're supposed to sit in there for a while, I think, and contemplate what they mean. Because when you came out, you were blindfolded again. Immediately as you came out of the room, you had no sense of sensory anything at all. They blindfolded you fucking again. And then they took you around a room. Someone like lead you. And then they undo your blindfold. And just a moment later, you're in front of a mirror with a fucking candle in front of your face. And they want you to see yourself as you really are. And it's like really fucked up, like mind control shit.
I feel like that's like a 4-ticket ride at the Western Fair.
Oh my God. It's not even a 2-ticket ride at the Western Fair. Fuck. Then they blindfold your motherfucking ass again. Guess what? Oh my God. Shut up or it gets the hose. Never mind, it gets the blindfold again. And they're like, we're going to make you drink something of the duality of life. We want you to have some of the bitterness and the sweetness. So they had the sweetness, I don't know, it's like honey or maple syrup or something like that. And I drink the bitterness. It tastes worse than a fucking Ambien, motherfucker. You know what that was? It was wormwood. Cool. And these people knew I was like newly pregnant at the time. And they had me drink wormwood, which was actually like an abortion starter in the dark ages.
Yeah.
It was like it started uterine contractions.
I was going to say a pre-uterine contraction agent.
Absolutely. It's the same kind of like agent that they'd use now.
So at that point, that's got to be the final straw.
Well, I was like, what the fuck? So finally, they took our masks off after we'd been initiated. And everybody's like in like Dungeons and Dragons clothes. Like there's like knights and fucking chalices. And then like cups and goblets and queens and kings and fairies and fucking swords and shit. And I'm just like I have no fucking idea what to say. I just need to go the fuck home. I go home. I know I've had wormwood and I know I'm pregnant. I puke my fucking guts out. Because not only am I like disgusted, I'm like horrified. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
And did they ever tell you it was wormwood?
No. They told me it was wormwood after. I'm like, what the fuck did I drink? Like, it's wormwood. I'm like, what? So I was like trying to puke at their house, right? At this person's house, right? Oh my fuck. It was horrifying. I knew by the taste it may have been wormwood. It was really bitter because when I was a little girl, my Oma used to give me wormwood tea in very small doses when I had bad problems with my stomach. And as I do like now, I've like adopted a vegan diet because my stomach has gone like ape shit because when you get old, you can't digest things anymore like beef. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it is what it is. So I, from there, like I'm like, let's get sick. Let's get sick. I'm going to get sick at this house. Like wanted to get sick all the way home. Didn't talk in the car all the way home. Fucking got home, just like was crying, went to bed. Like didn't want to talk to my friend who was involved in it. Because my friend who was involved in it, like their partner was like teaching it. So I'm like, oh my God, this is so obnoxious.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, you like you had kind of just said there was your partner's, your friend's partner was teaching it, but there was another person that was kind of fronting it for a while. And that's the person you had that connection with.
Yeah, and he was amazing. But
you said to me the other day, like, oh, everything would have been fine if he would have stayed there. And I'm like, no.
Well, unfortunately, he passed away young.
But you're like, oh, that would have never happened. I'm like, no, it would have happened.
It may have happened anyway.
Because all that stuff they didn't just invent it.
No, it has been going for a long time.
Yeah.
It originated actually in Mexico.
But there was a realization on your face that you felt like betrayed at that realization in that moment a day ago. You're like, wait a second, he would have known about this and he would have made me do this.
Yep.
And you had never thought about that, I don't think, until that moment.
No, because I'm like, because he would have been there, because he would have been alive.
You always thought of him, like when you've talked to about this individual with me, he's like, he's a kindred spirit, we're both old souls. And
we met in a past life. I'm pretty sure it was in Egypt. Yeah, totally.
And here we are, Jim Jones, Keith Ranieri. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's like fuck, and it's the same kind of pattern, and it's like
the difference is it breaks my heart when I hear it from you.
I know. It's fucked
like
up.
My heart is broken that you had such a strong connection with somebody, you lost them, and you lost the connection, but then you didn't see that the duplicit nature and what was going on here.
Yeah, until it was like really messed up, and then like I didn't want to go after that, right? And so I had talked to.
So you just didn't go, right?
No, but I had talked to friends about it because of course you open up to your friends about it, like that are not in the cult, and I'm just like, oh my God, I got mixed up with the cult. Like what the fuck? You know me, I can't fucking not tell. Holy shit! And then so like, buddies, fucking my friend's like partner calls me, the guy who's teaching it, and is like, Tanya, like, he's like calm with me and everything. He's nice. He's like, but he's like in the nicest way possible. He's like, you can't go telling everybody about this. I'm like, why not? He's like, he's trying to say in the nicest way, like, this is a secret. Like, this is a well kept, we don't talk about this. This is something that's private, I'm like, so you want me to just like keep your cult covered up for you, like, right? And like, that was like basically the telephone conversation. I was just like, fuck off. It was like embarrassing, like not on my side of it, because like obviously I'm still talking about it because it was fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at where you were
at the time,
you can't help but feel like there's still good memories there.
Yeah, because I had some like fun.
That's so weird.
It's weird. Like I had some fun with like yoga and runes and fucking like other people that were like
so conflicted.
Fellow little fuckers from Hobbiton who like to sit out in the grass and play like ukulele. But it's like, were these like pot smoking hippie people in my 20s or like, for these?
That's got to be strange to wrestle with, that you met some good people, you had some strong memories, you did some cool things, and then it was only like a few weird things at the end that were short.
But bad.
Really
bad. Like reprehensible. Like irreprehensible, really. Like the really bad.
How do you stomach that going forward? Especially like now that you've got kids and like these kind of things are out there. People are being preyed upon, and you got to carry this this dichotomy of that experience with you forward.
Well, you got to watch your kids, man. Like, you got to watch what they're doing, watch what they're saying, watch what they're consuming.
Well, cults are everywhere. Like, we talk about the Church of Star Wars, right?
Well,
and like
anything.
The way that they practice stuff, and it's
Absolutely.
like a fandom and.
And fandom can be its own cult in itself. Like, I mean, fandom can be really fucking scary.
It's obsessive devotion.
It is complete obsessive devotion,
It's
and
like
it can,
sports fans for that matter. Jesus.
And they get speaking of obsessive devotion, Jesus. No, but like really, like it is obsessive devotion. They just blindly follow it and just let it fucking rip. They don't really follow the torch. They just follow the person holding it, and it's very fucking dogmatic in a way. And I don't want our kids to be that way. I don't want them to follow the person holding the torch. I want them to get a kind of taste of everything and, go out, kind of see what you like, put your feelers out, see how you feel. Like, for me, I've been into Tibetan Buddhism and transcendental meditation since I was, 12 years old, 13 years old. I've always done that kind of stuff. You know me. I am a heavy metal fucking hippie, and that's, like I say, what drawn me to all this weird shit group thing that I eventually got out of. Thank fuck I got out of it.
Do you think you're better off for having gone through it, even though you're out of it?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
That's so messed up.
For sure I'm better.
So your life is better for having been a part of a cult.
Absolutely.
There you go, folks.
There you go, folks. You heard
Find a cult, find that tipping point, and get the fuck out.
This is not me saying join a cult or anything. But, like, if I hadn't had some of those experiences, I wouldn't have learned things and had my eyes opened.
There are other books out there. You don't have to join a cult to read a book.
Things that I had to experience myself and see, like...
That's fair. I get it. It's hard to, like, imagine life without the experiences that we have that made us who we are.
It's shaped me. It's made
so
me
weird.
into a more cautious woman. If someone says, hey, you want to go do yoga in the park, or like want to like hear what your dreams mean, I'm like, no, I do not. I do not want to go yoga in the park with you. I do not want to hear what my dreams mean. I'm fucking good.
We've both had previous marriages, and we
know
wouldn't be who we are and find each other had we not been in those
who
situations.
The devil was. Oh. Oh, God. So many demons. Dead by dawn. Fuck. God bless second marriages.
Yeah.
God bless them from the cult of God.
What's your favorite cult movie?
Ooh, what's my favorite cult movie?
That's my question of the week.
Ooh, you know what it is?
I do know what it is.
What is it?
Midsommar.
Midsommar? Fuck you. How did you get that, motherfucker?
Because I know you.
I goddamn love Midsommar. I'm going to watch the fuck out of it right now.
I know things about you and the things you love.
I'm going to watch the shit out of it. I'm going to watch the shit out of Midsommar. The only part of Midsommar, if you've not seen it before, spoiler alert, if you've not seen Midsommar. It's a beautiful film. It's a mind fuck. It's great. But it is so graphic. And the beginning is the only part that is like a trigger warning for me with the suicide. There's a huge suicide in the beginning of it where the sister kills herself, and she has the parents and she gasses them to death in the house too with CO2, I believe, in the car. She runs some
hose.
Cables in the house, like a hose, when the firemen come in with the hazmat suits on. And that movie's fucked. I love that movie about cults. I love the Manson murders when it comes to movies about cults. Those are two of my favorite kind of things. Anything that has to do that's Manson-y is always fun because that's cult/true crime, and it had the Beach Boys mixed in there a little bit, so it's all the things that I like. It's got a little bit of music in there.
Yeah.
But fucking Midsommar, clearly right now, is my favorite cult film. That may all change. My favorite cult series right now is Wild Wild Country. I fucking love it. I can't get enough of it. It's one of those series that I just can't stop watching on Netflix. I fucking love it.
I'm fascinated with The Vow, and I think it's because Mark Vicente is, a filmmaker. He's done documentaries and stuff too.
He's fantastic.
He's very intelligent. I think he's a bit of a prodigy. Like I said, he's from Johannesburg, South Africa.
I'm pretty sure everyone I know from South Africa is a prodigy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say everyone from South Africa that has been in a cult.
No. Honestly, everyone I know from South Africa is just so talented. Every fucking person.
It's a slow burn,
redonkulous.
but the reveals that you do get when you sit through it, it's almost like the cult itself. Like, if you could just keep pushing longer, it'll be worth it when you get to the next level.
You will
and
find
so like every
out.
episode has like those little breadcrumbs that are just like, oh, so satisfying.
Gimme. I know it's hard, but it's a slow burn, right? Like, to get through it.
And Rosemary's Baby, which I hadn't seen.
I know.
Until you showed me when we were going through all that Pharaoh versus Allen crap.
Oh, fuck Woody Allen. Can you just say that on the air for me? Like, come on.
Fuck Woody Allen.
Thank you.
So easy.
Like,
so
oh
easy,
my
without
God.
question. Never been a filmmaker that I ever wanted to.
You know what?
I don't know why.
What's funny, like, totally off the topic of cults, when we talked about that, like, even when I met you, I was like, oh, I like Woody Allen movies and stuff like that, but my mom never let me watch them when I was a kid. And then I found out, like, why.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I never liked Woody Allen movies. I'm like, and you're a filmmaker?
He's
I
one of the
why.
great quote unquote American auteurs, and it's just like, I don't know why I was just never drawn to his cinema. Of course, we watched Annie Hall.
You had to in school. Right?
Yeah, but just I just never ever. I've seen 2 Woody Allen films. Annie Hall and Midnight in Paris.
Fuck, that's hilarious. Well, fuck the cult of Woody Allen and anyone who follows that fucking cult.
Yeah, I'm good.
Does anyone know where to follow my fucking cult? You can follow my fucking cult every week. And you can follow my cult every day if I let your ass in. At 21st Century Rocker Mom at Instagram. You can find me at 21st Century Rocker Mom. On Twitter, I'm just at Tanya Candler. That my Twitter is open. You got my YouTube channel at Tanya Candler channel. It's on YouTube. Just click subscribe and you can get all my episodes are coming up there live. You'll have the audio wherever your favorite streaming platforms are available. You got Spotify, you got Google Podcasts, you got Apple Podcasts. I don't know what you're listening on. Listen on whatever you got. But I'll see you, hippies, all next week. I'm going to go sacrifice something. It's probably going to be tofu. What are you going to do?
See if I pass the initiation.
All right, I'm going to sacrifice
We'll
this
get the
boy.
robes.
Let's go get the
cane.
robes out. I'm not drinking no weird shit. The only like weird taste I'm going to have in my mouth is like Ambien.
All right.
I didn't say only Ambien.
What else you got in mind?
You'll find out.
Oh,
It's a pleasure being with you, hippies. Until next week, I fucking love you. Thank you for listening, as always. It's been a pleasure sitting down with you and talking about the world of culty cults. If you have any weird questions for me, send them down the pipe, because I love talking about cults. Obviously, I'm not embarrassed about it. Peace!